I'll say it again and again. Welcome to the Ep4 show. Yes, how are you today? I'm Robert Kennedy III, Ep4. That's me. What about you? Who are you? And what makes you you? What makes me want to meet you? I want to hear about it. I want to hear about you. So after you were done checking out the podcast, I want you to join me over in the Speak Right Now community on Facebook. Go to speakrightnow.com/community. That's speak, WRITE now.com/community. Or you can just email me to say hey or ask questions. Shoot me a line at podcast@robertkennedy3.com. All right. Today's show is for the speakers in the room, the ones who want to tell their story, share their expertise, and get paid to do it. Get paid, baby. Does that sound good? Does that sound good? Is it good to you? Well, one of the challenges many speakers and storytellers face is that they want to get paid, but companies aren't always able to pay them, much less pay them what they're worth. But what if there was another way? What if you could get paid and the company didn't have to spend a dime? Would that sound good to you? Well, guess what, people? You know we've got an answer today. Today's guest is Julie Austin of SpeakerSponsor.com, and she'll share with us a smart way to get paid and form better relationships for your speaking business. You know the deal. We've got a story. Let's tell it.
Communication, motivation, leadership, and more. You're listening to the Ep4 show.
Today, we have got Julie Austin on the show. And one of the things that she's going to share really is about how to make money a different way than most speakers think of. So let's talk about that today. Julie, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you, Robert?
I'm doing amazing. Awesome. So what's it like in your part of the world today? Are you getting sunshine and rain or a little bit of both?
Well, I'm in Los Angeles, and today is sunny. Most of the days lately it's been overcast and kind of cool, but yep, we got some sun here.
All right. So listen, you are a speaker. You work with speakers. One of the things that I love about speaking is that you get to share stories. You get to share messages. You get to connect with people in a way where you've got their rapt attention. You're the only one that they're looking at. You think or believe that you had something special, something important to say to the world.
Well, I guess to toot my own horn, I'm an inventor, and fewer than 15% of all patent holders in the world are women. Wow. So I realized that I had something, interesting to share. And, I would like to have more women, obviously, become inventors, but anybody can be an inventor. So that's really what I thought was interesting and unique about myself as a speaker.
Tell me just a little bit more about that, because, when you think about inventors, you think about, oh my gosh, Thomas Edison, light bulb, Alexander Graham Bell, and telephone. You think of all of these things that seem to be amazing to the rest of us and just easy for the inventor to some degree. You think you've got to be just ridiculously creative and brilliant, and I don't want to be insulting anybody, but tell me about that. You said anybody can be an inventor.
I can make anybody an inventor. I can turn anyone into an inventor, and it's a process that I guess I instinctively have it, but it's not. It doesn't come second nature to everyone. So I learned a process in how to teach other people how to be inventors. So I thought that was something different that I had that most people don't have.
Wow. So is that the core of what you do currently? You teach people that process?
Well, as a speaker, that's what I speak on, and my niche is very small. But when a corporation is looking for exactly what I have, then I tend to book it. So, but those opportunities don't come along all the time. But it's a small niche.
So, as a speaker, then when you started out, you said it's a small niche. I mean, did you run around shouting out inventor down the street and see who hired you? What was something that you did that worked, that got you in some of those doors?
I literally just hustled, and I learned how to, because when you're a speaker, you are basically a freelancer. Unless you work for a company, you are a freelance artist. Just like an actor. And I've been an actor, so I knew how to just constantly hustle. Once you finish one job, you're on to the next. So your whole life is just a job interview, really. And you're just always looking for the next gig. So I was used to that.
So what were some of the things that you did that worked? A lot of speakers get discouraged because they don't exactly know what to say to an organization or the people that they want to hire them. What were some of the things that worked for you?
Well, it is a process, and believe me, I made plenty of mistakes. But, you have to bring them value. You have to be able to step into their shoes, and why are they going to hire you? What do you have that's going to bring them value? I think that's the main thing is that I had to learn in the beginning is, I originally thought, I'm just going to put together a course and I'm going to go in or a speech and I'm going to go in and deliver it. And that I learned the hard way, that did not work because I did one HR conference where I thought, oh my God, that was awesome. I got the speech exactly like I wanted, and the other speakers thought it was great. And then I got my feedback. and they said, great speech, but she didn't know who we were.
Wow. Okay. So
and I realized I did not customize it. I didn't know who that audience was.
Wow. So I want to get right into something here. You've got a site called speakersponsor.com. That's one of the arms of your business. And that's important because a lot of speakers hear this from time to time. You give them your fee or your rate and they say, hey, that's not really what we were expecting, or it's not in the budget. But you've got a way for people to get paid even when companies say it's not in the budget. Tell me a little bit about sponsorship as a way to get paid.
Well, you asked me what I did in the beginning that worked. I've never spoken for free, ever.
Yeah.
And most speakers can't believe that. That's because in the very beginning, when I was asked to speak and, I said, well, here's my fee. And they said, well, we don't pay speakers. I said, well, I have to pay rent and got to keep the lights on. I'm not a trust fund baby. And I said, look, I have a background in sponsorship. I've been doing that for 20 years. I've done it in the entertainment industry. What if I get my own sponsor and then the sponsor pays me? That way you don't have to worry about my fee. But I'm going to deliver a great speech that is customized for your audience and it's wonderful. I don't sell from the stage because I know I'm getting paid by my sponsor. Wow. And they went, well, we've never heard of that before. And I said, well, that's innovation. That's something new. Right. And they said, okay, well, it sounds good to us. And that's how it started. I got a game company to sponsor me. And it was for a conference for young girls. And the game company, they had their game in the back of the room. I mentioned them briefly, did a bunch of other things behind the scenes for them, but it wasn't me standing up there giving a sales pitch.
Right.
So that's what I hate, and meeting planners will not let you do anyway. And it worked so well, I started doing it every time. And if someone said, we don't have a budget, I would just say, well, can I have my own sponsor? You pay my expenses to get to the conference. I'll get a sponsor and you'll get a great presentation. And then other speakers came up to me and said, why did you get paid and we didn't get paid? And I said, because I have a sponsor.
So that sounds easy. It really sounds easy, but I'm sure there's some work behind there. How do you get a sponsor to say, yup, we're on board with you? We just want, what is it that sponsors want that will allow them to say yes to you?
Well, the main thing the sponsor wants, they don't really care what the title of your speech is or what it's about. That, has nothing to do with it. All they care about is who is in that audience. So the game company was geared towards young girls.
Right.
And that's all they wanted to know is that I've got 100 girls that are, teen, tween girls in my audience. That's the number one thing they care about. And the numbers also are important. You're going to get more from a sponsor if you're doing a big stage keynote with, 500 people than you will from a tiny little breakout. But, it's all relevant. I actually have gotten it, and also a lot of people, I target small businesses. So there are people out there who do, big corporate sponsorship and, hey, make $100,000 with IBM and Coca-Cola. Well, they are probably not going to sponsor you, and they're definitely not going to sponsor a breakout. They're just not going to do it.
Right.
So I target the small businesses, but I tell people, just because they're a small business doesn't mean they don't have money. My first small business sponsorship was $60,000.
Wow.
And that was from a company. It was a small ad agency from Europe, wasn't even from the U.S. So just because they're small doesn't mean that they can't pay you good money.
Wow. So what does a speaker need to do then to get a sponsor's attention? I mean, do the sponsors find the speakers, or do the speakers decide, okay, I've got to get this manual or a book of lists and contact these businesses? What are the things that a speaker really needs to do to get a sponsor's attention?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of different ways to do it. I run something called speakersponsor.com. It's the only directory out there that's sort of a marketplace for speakers who are looking for sponsors. So what I do is I kind of act as a middleman, and I drive the sponsors to the site. If they don't see what they're looking for, that's a different story. But, I've had a lot of speakers who have gotten sponsors just because they're listed. And that's just one way to do it, is to get into the directory. It's only $9 a month to be in the directory. I don't get in the middle of any negotiations. Whatever you make is yours, and, between you and the sponsor. There's a lot to know, an enormous amount to know about how to service those sponsors so that they keep, sponsoring you over and over again. That's the hardest part of it, is just getting the sponsors in the beginning. But what you want to do is have just kind of a handful of sponsors that will sponsor anything you do. Let's say that, for example, you speak in the, mom, baby, kid industry, whatever. You find a few sponsors that are in that industry that want to get in front of that audience, and that's your niche, and you can make a living from just that.
Wow. So if I'm just getting started, what would you say are one or two things that I need to do today? What are my first two actions that I need to take today in order to utilize speaker sponsoring?
Good question. What they want is, it's all about, think about advertising. So, someone puts a commercial on TV, they're paying lots of money because they're getting a lot of ears and eyeballs, right? Mm-hmm. That's what it's all about. Is, and even though sponsorship is different than advertising, it's similar in that they want to get to as many people as they can and as targeted of an audience as possible. So, what was the question again?
What are two things, if I'm just getting started fresh here?
Oh, okay. If you're just getting started, well, the first thing before you ever start looking for sponsorship is to start building up your network. And that means this is easy to do. Start building up your social media network, because that is one way you can get the word out about your sponsor. So it's about having, I hate using this word as, but a tribe. They're using cliched words, but you have an audience, a network. And that you can start building right now. You don't need anything else.
Okay. All right. What's the second thing? Build a network. What will be the second step?
The second step, I would think, is to find a niche. And I have a lot of speakers who have, a tiny little niche that is only, something they do. They don't go out. They don't try to, become a Tony Robbins. They're not on big keynote stages. They have their own little niche that they work locally, regionally, where they are in a market that is, maybe not necessarily, corporate. For example, have a lot of speakers who speak to colleges and schools, which notoriously don't pay, but there's a lot of them out there. And I've made these calls to the colleges and to the schools, and they would love to have speakers. They just don't or can't pay them. Right. And they are very open to sponsorship. They're not, it's not something they really wanted to do, I don't think, because I think schools have resisted for a long time, but they know that there's not going to be the money in the budget. And this is an innovative way, creative way for them to get good speakers that they don't have to pay.
Right. Okay.
So find that niche that nobody else has.
That's awesome information. I know this is something we've got 15 or 20 minutes here, but if you just will take a moment to rewind this and write down, take some notes here, you're going to find some gold nuggets that you can sit down and literally build your business on. So, Julie, where else can people find you? The speakersponsor.com is one place that they can find you. But if they want to know a little bit more about how to do this, how to get sponsorship, where can they find you?
On the Speaker Sponsor site, there is a tab called Events and Resources, and you can find there is a free, I believe it's like a 35-minute free video that talks in detail about sponsorship for speakers. And I believe it's either under the resource tab or the events tab, either one. But it says, sponsorship 101, speaker sponsorship 101. And you just click on that and it takes you to the free video.
Awesome. So I just want to recap for just a second and really pull it together in this one sentence. There is no reason for you to speak for free. There's always a way for you to get paid for your story, for your experience, for your expertise. And Julie Austin, I'm sorry, I called you Martin. Julie Austin is an expert at this. So go check her out, speakersponsor.com, and get connected with her. Julie, thanks so much for spending time with us on the show today.
Well, thank you.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. I bet you didn't think about getting paid like that before. Now, don't just sit there and say, yeah, that's cool. Get up, get out, take action, make it happen, because the world needs you. Get out there and tell that special story of yours. I'm out of here today, folks, but before I go, I got to remind you to subscribe to the show on iTunes. Leave a review. That's how we grow. And if you want to tell somebody something, tell them about the show. Take their hand and help them hit the subscribe button, right? All right, that's really it, people. Don't forget, everything that happens in life is your stuff. Your stuff is your story, and your story deserves a stage. I'm Robert Kennedy III, RK3, that's me, and you've been listening to The